Seeding of a Ghost from 1983, directed by Chuan Yang. Tung Chau, Philip Ko, is a boring, albeit good-looking taxi driver living in Hong Kong with his gorgeous wife Irene, Maria Jo. Unfortunately, Irene's job as a croupier leads to her affair with married rich guy Tony, Norman Chu. When Tung gets suspicious of his wife's late nights, Irene is abducted, assaulted, and murdered by a pair of thugs. Distraught, Tung confronts Tony only to get beaten with a bat and left for dead. Now hell-bent on revenge, Tung enlists the help of a black magician he happened to have met driving his cab earlier in the film to ensure Tony meets a particularly gruesome comeuppance. The magician, who gets increasingly more Neanderthal as the picture wears on, only has a single curse to inflict: seeding the corpse of Irene with the spirit of an unborn child that will be birthed as a terrible vengeance demon. The pair of thugs meet up with Tony as the curse begins to unfold, and the new trio seeks out Taoist assistance when Tony's wife becomes possessed. The movie goes entirely off the rails at that point, hurtling towards an insanely bloody ending as Irene's ghost is seeded, Tung is forced to sacrifice his soul for revenge, and all of the Taoist priests in Hong Kong prove powerless against the demonic fetal creature. Produced by the now infamous Shaw Brothers, Runji, Runmi, Runday, and Run Run, this film is one of the more notorious Hong Kong horror flicks of the 1980s and 90s. It's hard to find much fault here, as the film really wastes no time in setting up the supernatural climax, with Tung's run-in with the witch doctor literally the first thing on screen. There's nudity aplenty and buckets of blood in the second half once the seeding has occurred. As far as these types of films go, none of the characters are saints, but you really couldn't ask for more reprehensible characters than Irene and Tony. Tony's wife and the thugs that murder Irene barely qualify as characters or even plot devices. They're just objects used to force Tony into a spiritual corner, so to speak, and are dispatched with imaginative set pieces. The film is undeniably cheap, but the cinematography is lively and rich, the special effects are the best the budget would allow, and there's such unrestrained imagination at play, it's hard to fault some of the less effective makeups and wire work. At its heart, Seeding is a revenge story, the kind that warns, if you go seeking revenge, it's best to dig 2 graves. In this case, you'd need to dig an entire cemetery. This is really a you get exactly what it says on the tin type of film, less concerned with character or plot as it is with parading out a line of gruesome deaths and shapely breasts, sometimes both at the same time. Like Evil Dead 2, or Peter Jackson's Dead Alive Brain Dead, this is a style over substance experience of a film, but your mileage may vary. Widely available on video streaming sites like Dailymotion and YouTube, but unavailable on physical disc since the early 2000s. It occasionally pops up on Hong Kong movie channels in an excellent 1080p full HD master that most torrent sites use. Bootleg-wise, you can find it on several unauthorized DVD and Blu-ray outfits. Not that I condone such things myself. Seeding of a Ghost exemplifies the total balls-to-the-wall approach of later Category 3 films of pre-handover Hong Kong, and also functions as an entertaining introduction to the wuxia genre. Yes, wuxia films are typically period pieces, dealing with martial arts action mixed with the supernatural and religious folklore, but I'd argue Seeding is built on the wuxia format, as it has a working-class protagonist who goes to incredible lengths for justice and has older folk magic and Taoist religious practices in conflict, just in a modern-day setting. Aside from that, the sheer creativity of the special effects in the latter half of the film are truly outrageous, although perhaps not as entirely insane as its contemporary, The Boxer's Omen. Well worth a watch, and a great introduction to Category 3 films. I give Seeding of the Ghost an 8 out of 10.